Renaissance Dam Council collects 5.2 billion pledged by the public for the mega project. Prime Minister Hailemariam Desalegn invited to 3rd Arab Africa Summit in Kuwait. Two leading African observer groups describe Zimbabwe's elections free and peaceful. Those are the main stories in this news edition. Hello and welcome to ETV News. I'm Shmuel Slamma. President Grimaldi Georgis has seen off ambassadors of 4 countries who ended their term in Addis Ababa. Donald Booth of the United States, Leo Alasverta of Finland, Said Yusuf Nur of Somalia, and Serbian Durgan Milosevic are the ambassadors who took leave of President Guma. President Guma said Ethiopia is keen to strengthen existing bilateral relations with the countries, particularly in infrastructure development, trade, peace and stability sectors. Guma said the role played by U.S. Ambassador Donald Booth to further strengthen relations between the U.S. and Ethiopia in areas of security, economy and democratization has been immense. Ethiopia and Kuwait have agreed to step up commitment to implement previous cooperative agreements they signed. Prime Minister Hailemariam Desalegn has conferred with envoy of the Emir of Kuwait, Mohammed Abdullah Abdul Hassan, on Friday. Previously, the two states inked agreements on agriculture, investment and food security, among others. The envoy also delivered an official invitation to Prime Minister Hailemariam to attend the 3rd Arab Africa Summit to be hosted by Kuwait in November 2013. The two sides exchanged views on how to make the upcoming summit a success. In a related move, Kuwait has invited the African Union to attend the 3rd Arab Africa Summit due to be held in November 2013. The envoy of Emir of Kuwait, Mohammed Abdullah Abdul Hassan, delivered the invitation to the African Union Commission on Friday. The envoy noted that the main agenda of the coming Arab Africa Summit will focus on economic issues since Africa as a whole is registering rapid economic growth. He expressed his country's hopes that the summit will play a significant role in taking the relationship between Arab countries and Africa to a higher level. The summit is scheduled to take place from November the 18th to the 20th, 2013. Both Ethiopia and AU have indicated their support for the success of the summit. The National Council, in charge of mobilizing the public for construction of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, held its 4th regular meeting on Friday. The Council has managed to collect 5.2 billion birr out of the total 10.2 billion birr pledged by different segments of the public for the project. Henok Tesfaye reports.
The 4th regular meeting of the Council that aimed at evaluating the performance of the Council so far and to discuss its 2013 and 14 budget year plan reflected that the Council has managed to collect 5.2 billion birr out of the 10.2 billion birr of the total amount pledged by different segments of the public for the project. This covers 23% of the current construction of the dam. The members of the Council have raised their concern related to enhancing the public diplomacy and participation. With the sideline of constructing the dam, environmental protection endeavors should get enough attention in order to save the dam from siltation. The public motivations, especially in terms of artists, seem to showing decline. The coming year plan should give a special focus to organizing such events. The public diplomacy, both inside the country and abroad, should continue in a more organized way to achieve the expected outcome. Secretary of the Council, Barakas Timon, said the public activities have encountered positive responses from the low-income community than from investors, which in other words shows the need to do more. Concerning Egypt, Barakas said Ethiopia has nothing to benefit from the current situation in Egypt. Ethiopia has nothing to gain from Egypt's unrest. Rather, we would benefit in all regard if Egypt is able to solve its internal problem in a peaceful way. That's why Ethiopia is calling on all parties for negotiations and to promote sustainable calm. Emphasizing the result gained in lobbying riparian countries to sign the comprehensive framework agreement, Foreign Minister Dr. Tedros Adhanom underscored the good diplomatic position of Ethiopia on the issue. We have made important diplomatic activities in riparian countries and rest of the world. This work is now creating common understanding, and we want to do more until Ethiopia's constructive stand is replicated by all. Deputy Prime Minister and Chairperson of the Council, Dammaqe Mokonnin, said, along with enhancing the participation of farmers and investors, the Council is working on intensive natural resource conservation. The environmental protection, in one way or another, has significant impact on the effectiveness of the dam. Understanding this, currently 16 million people are taking part in the inclusive environmental conservation endeavors, and if we change it into money, it's worth of 10 billion. After discussing the 2012 and 13 performance and identifying the focus areas, the Council has concluded by ratifying the 2013 and 14 plan.
Mellas Memorial Park has been established at Mount Karamara near Jijiga town in Somali region. Regional Chief Abdi Mohammed, state officials, dwellers of the town among others, have planted indigenous seedlings in the park formed in connection with the first-year memorial of the late Premier. The park will be used to commemorate the former Prime Minister and sustain his vision of enhancing green development. Abdi Mohammed recalled that Mellas was busy working to change the livelihood of pastoralists and to ensure good governance in the region. Following a proposal by Ayka Addis, a Turkish garment firm, to establish an industrial zone and bring a total of 50 Turkish textile companies to Ethiopia, the Ethiopian government is currently allocating land for the zone. The construction, to be overseen by Ayka Addis, will involve several 5-story buildings which will be rent out or sold to the newcomers. Construction will be carried out in 3 phases. Taddese Haile, State Minister of Trade, says the move is a big plus for the industry and will significantly contribute to the government's plan to double the export revenue in the coming budget year. General Manager of Ayka Addis, Mr. Turkoglu, said the company had been in discussions with major garment manufacturers in Turkey for most of the last 2 years, and more are willing to relocate at the earliest possible moment. The relocation of the companies is expected to allow for the creation of $2 billion in export revenue per annum and create more than 60,000 job opportunities. Ayka inaugurates factory at a cost of $140 million at Alamgana, 20 kilometers west of Addis Ababa in 2010, creating job opportunities for more than 10,000 people. Africa Grows and Opportunity Act AGOA, in place since May 2000, aims to assist African economy and improve relations between USA and sub-Saharan African countries. However, experts in the field suggest that there are many issues to be revised in the relationship. Daniel Kasaun has compiled the following.
The trade relationship between the US, which is unilateral, has proved to be beneficial, but we also recognize areas in which we need to improve.
Coming to the issue of AGOA, the opinions among scholars, politicians are divided. It all depends to whom we are talking. If you talk definitely to the officials of State Secretary in the United States, the private sector, the corporate world, they will tell you how good it is for Africa. If you look at some critical thinkers also, they will tell you, hey, You know, AGOA has some benefits, but it has not benefited all. In fact, it has benefited very few people, and there is a lot to be done. There is a lot to be done. But what is that role to be done? Africans must boost their production. 2, the quality of products must be also very high.
Is many of us believe that it shouldn't divide Africa to say sub-Saharan Africa. Secondly, the criteria, some of it is not purely trade. It is really more political. And I think if we intend to make AGOA an opportunity for growth, we can assist countries, and even in some of the countries that we may feel democracy is growing, we need to encourage them, because business should not be mixed up with politics.
A helicopter en route to South Sudan for use by the United Nations World Food Programme crashed in Ethiopia on Wednesday, injuring several people on board, officials said. The helicopter crashed in the town of Debre Zeit, about 50 kilometers outside of Addis Ababa, said Dina Mufti, the spokesperson of Ethiopian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Dina said there were multiple injuries, but he had no further details. UN spokesman Farah Haq said the helicopter was en route to South Sudan for use by WFP in Jonglei, which has been the scene of recent fighting. Haq said the helicopter was owned by Russian company Pan Helicopters. You're watching ETV News. Leaders of the troop-contributing countries to the African Union mission in Somalia, AMISOM, are expected to meet in Kampala, Uganda this weekend for an emergency session to harmonize ongoing anti-Al-Shabaab operations. The summit on Sunday will be chaired by President Yoweri Museveni. Uganda, which was the first to deploy soldiers in Mogadishu in March 2007, had the largest numbers of troops in Somalia. AMISOM currently consists of 5,432 Burundian, 999 Djiboutian, 4,040 Kenyan, 850 Sierra Leonean, and 6,223 Ugandan troops. Zimbabwe's elections were free and peaceful, the two leading African observer groups have said. African Union mission head Olusegun Obasanjo dismissed complaints of fraud, while another observer urged all parties to accept the hard facts. A local monitoring group said earlier the poll was seriously compromised. President Robert Mugabe's party is claiming victory in the election, which has been dismissed by Prime Minister Morgan Tsvangirai as a huge farce. The results must be declared by the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission no later than 5 days after voting day. The former Nigerian president admitted that there were incidents that could have been avoided, but he stressed that the 69 AU observers did not believe those irregularities could change the overall outcome of the poll. Shortly afterwards, monitors from the Southern African Development Community SADC, which had 562 observers, described the elections as free and peaceful, but said it was too early to call them fair. And finally, there have been clashes between the Tunisian army and Islamic extremists near the border with Algeria. Gunfire was exchanged around 10 to 15 militants were surrounded by the army, according to a Tunisian security source. There are no details of any casualties. It comes 3 days after gunmen ambushed and killed 8 soldiers in the remote Mount Chambi area near the border. The region has become a hideout for extremists linked to an Al-Qaeda-affiliated militant group. Earlier this week, many Tunisians rallied in Tunis to show their support for the army. Political tensions are rising between supporters and opponents of the moderate Islamist-led government. Many believe the government is not doing enough to crack down on extremists. Both sides are calling for more protests this weekend.